sheets, and I don't think I've ever done a golf showdown video before. But in keeping with true transparency, I always like to say that if I'm going to play, I'm going to show people how I play, and in the hopes of both learning for myself and teaching people what I know and what I'm learning as I continue to do this. We're going to be doing NBA right, after this, so I figured this is a good time to just take care of this. Not to mention the fact that this the slate locks in about a half an hour, right? So we have to kind of get moving. But the good thing is that the actual lineup build process is not very difficult. I mean, it doesn't take a long time, and there's not going to be any late withdrawals or anything like that. I hope. So I want to show you guys a couple of things, and then we're going to just build. By the way, the theme is F the NBA, because yesterday the NBA was not great again, but did very, very well at NHL, and then started off the morning with a good little cash in the LOL streets. I thought I was going to win that 333, but Fear X just smashed me at the end. But yeah, so if anybody is going to be here, great. If not, it doesn't really matter to me at all, because I'm just going to do what I was going to do anyway. I'm going to talk through my my observations. So let's first thing I want to show you guys. I just kind of find this humorous, but to give you an idea of what golf showdown is like, or what it should be like. I mean, there's 33. Well, actually more, because this includes people I'm not playing. But if you look at the projections of all these guys, this is SaberSim. It goes from 33 down to 20. You know what I mean? There's so little difference between these guys from 1 to 1. And what's amazing is that as much variance as golf has in general, for those of you that play, you know what I'm talking about. To reduce it into a showdown slate format is pretty wild. Think about I'm trying to do a NASCAR thing. What if there was a showdown slate where there'd be somehow 5 laps, a 5-lap race, and everybody starts all side by side or something like that. At Daytona. That's kind of what a golf showdown slate is like. Actually, that's probably a really poor analogy, but nonetheless, let's just get right into it. The good thing is, again, just accept the fact that golf showdown is way out there, but just don't think of it as golfers. I know it's kind of tough, but don't think of it as golfers. Don't think of it as athletes. Really, just think of it as just data points on a spreadsheet when it comes to this particular endeavor. Okay. So you look at all these guys are really close, but even I did actually a pretty okay job of compiling some good projections for this one. So when I put those in here, you'll even see that, you get a little higher thing, but even still, the difference from first to last is not that much. But I think that using SaberSim's projections by themselves, I think that it's way too clustered here. So I like the TrueDFS ones where I sample other models and things like that. By the way, I don't even know if Brandon's in here, but when you look at NASCAR, SaberSim is by far the tightest NASCAR projections. I don't actually think that's correct, but nonetheless. So we're updating this. We put our projections in. We put our ownership in, and let's get some context. All right, we're going to build 40 lineups in just the in the lottery. Okay, I don't have it in me to play the 555, but I'll show you what. Actually, I will show you what it looks like if we were going to build one for that. Now again, if you wanted a hand build, I mean, go ahead. I mean, you could just, there's no way this is the right way to play, by the way, but I'm just going to show you what you could do. Your sheet's wasting my time. You get 25 minutes a lot. You're showing me what you shouldn't do. So if you want, you could go ahead and just sort these by sheets value score, for example, and just see, which of these guys you can get in. Jaeger, probably a good price. Shank, Rogers, whatever. Shank, this is the second straight day he's showing up as a good value, by the way. It's very interesting. So, I mean, you could certainly do this. Like, you could just go play, whichever guys add up to 50,000 or something. Probably have to play. Look at Dietrich, 6,900. But I really think that with Showdown and MMA, you have to do something with ownership or something with contest sims to not just make the best plays. There's way too much variance in here. So let's just start by just building just straight up, okay? And that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I would encourage you to do. So let's build. We're going to build 40 lineups. Actually, again, just to be more precise, we're building. Oh, what are we building here? Wait, hold on. We're only building 600. That's not what I want to do. Hold on. Let's start over. What you want to do is you want to build as many lineups as kind of represents the tournament you're in, if possible. That's an interesting point that I neglected to mention in a couple of my videos. So like here, this tournament has 11,764. So if you could build 11,764 lineups, that would be ideal. But you can't do that with SaberSim. I think the most you could build is 5,000. Maybe you can build more, but whatever. So we're going to build all 5,000 that we can build. And then we're going to start sorting and screwing with it and all this stuff. If I have time, I might. And SaberSim is going to yell at me if I do this. There's another simulator that I've been kind of playing with. I don't know. I mean, I could probably. I don't think they'll get too mad. We'll see. But here we're just using SaberSim for now. And again, it's important to kind of look at this. You have Xander Schauffele is like a full 3 points higher than Homa. You think about it instinctively. I mean, I can't imagine like anybody being but Xander being 3 points higher than Homa. I think aren't all these golfers like really close? Schauffele, Homa, Finau, Cantlay. I don't know. But the good thing is that there's ownership projections, which are hopefully going to normalize that and it'll lead us to the right, to the right mix. Now, again, what some people ask about Showdown analysis again is well, what about the waves? What about the winds? What about guys that are going to be playing, during the worst part of the day? For those of you that have been following me for a long time, I hope you know what the answer to those questions are, is that is all of that is factored into the projections, all of it. And this is one danger about analysis and stuff like that is the desire and allure of overcounting and of double counting when you do DFS analysis. You say, well, he projects well and he's got to be he projects well, and the wind's going to be with him. Well, no, that's because that's why he projects well. And likewise, when you do baseball, when someone recommends a pitcher, oh, he's at the top of my my value chart and he's got high strikeout upside. No, I mean, that's it's because he's got good strikeout metrics that puts him at the top. So that's something that you want to try to avoid. So all the stuff about why these golfers are projected the way they are is outside the scope of this analysis and also outside the scope of my skill set, if you want to know the truth. I read a really, really good article by Sports Projections. I'll try to link it if I remember. The different skill sets that can give you an edge in anything, whether it be being able to have good data or good modeling, what's more important. So to turn that into a we're going to run out of time if I stray too much, but I don't care. If you turn that into a stock market analysis, like what's more important, being a good portfolio manager or having good stocks to work with? You know what I mean? What's better in sports betting? Having, good leans on what teams are going to win, or how to have good money management. You know, what's better in DFS? Being able to identify the good plays, or being good at lineup construction. These are very legitimate questions. Okay, so 40 lineups without any changes other than we're going to be sorting here by the main Sabre score default, which is golf main, 10K, 5K entrance. And if you want to get into the weeds of what this is, that's how this metric is calculated. You can always change this, but suffice to say, this is, you know, a pretty aggressive way of ranking these golfers. I mean, these lineups. So you could go right ahead and pile that in, right? And if you did that, you would get 90% Schauffele, and then this Adam Schenk just keeps on popping at 82%. And I don't mind this. You know, this is actually not that bad. However, I do think that in Showdown, there's just so much variance that to make it min unique only one, I think it's really shortchanging some of the abilities of the other lineups that are just below them that might get in if you just force it to have min uniques more than one. So I think before we even get into contest sims, I would do something like this. I would just go min, as really almost like max min uniques. Now again, you can't do min uniques more than 5. So you would go back to min uniques 4 and get that done. Now Jordan from Sabre Sim, he likes to go one more. In other words, if you start to go min uniques 3, min uniques 4, min uniques 5, and then they yell at you, he recommends that not to go just back to min uniques 4, but to go one more to min uniques 3. But for me, for this particular sport, I want as much exposure around the board as possible. So I'm going to go min uniques 4. And this is I think that this is worth kind of stopping if you want. You know, this is a pretty good portfolio of lineups, because what have you done, right? You've had good projections, you've ran it the right way, and you've diversified the right way. The one thing I want to just make sure is that we don't need to do any geo-mean filtering. In other words, if there's a worry about being unique in some way. So I don't think there is. I mean, there's all these low-owned guys. I really don't think that duping is like a real risk, but it's a good idea to kind of double-check that. So let's just do that. We'll go to contest sim settings. So how many are there? There are, looks like 11,764, I said. So let's pull up our Geom mean calculator. And this is when Sheets is going to be called a liar, because I've been saying for probably 4 months that I'm going to put this calculator up on the site, but I guess I lied. I haven't figured out how to do it. All right, so 6 golfers in a lineup, 11,000. Ooh, so number of dupes, if you only want one dupe, it does have to be under 21. So let's filter that. Okay, it doesn't look like I'm going to have a problem, but just for the hell of it, let's make sure that we're not running the risk of duping. So we'll do geo mean of less than 21, and didn't really change all that much, but again, we did that fine. So this is actually a pretty good place to stop if we want. So what I'm going to do before I do anything else is I am going to upload these. Actually, before that, let's just add this, have the contest already. Well, we're going to add these for now, before I forget. And then we're going to get into the weeds with the contest sims. Okay. Now, first thing I want to do is just literally run the contest sim. So let's take out the filter. We'll take out the min uniques 1, and we'll get into the contest sims, and we are going to just run them. Okay. So again, here are the caveats. Right? The field lineups that we're going to compare our lineups to are the fields lineups that are implied by the Saber Sim ownerships. So again, that requires you to make that kind of leap of faith in the Saber Sim ownerships. So let's just see what this would look like. We'll go Showdown, Pitch, and Putt. We'll sort by risk-adjusted ROI. And now this is an interesting little thing. You have Patrick Rogers at 65%. And you still have the Adam Schenk up there, right? So you could do this, you know, and you could rely on the Sabres. So what you have an improvement over the last build in that you are now tailoring your lineup specifically to the pitch and putt. However, you are presuming that you're correct in that this is what the pitch and putt field is going to look like, and you're relying on the Saber Sim ownerships to do that. So what I would do, not surprisingly, I would do the same thing I did before. I would go Min Uniques 2, Min Uniques 3, Min Uniques 4. Same concept. Let's go to Min Uniques 5. It's going to yell at me. Back to Min Uniques 4. And then we would do the same thing with the Geom filtering. Do I have time? Yeah, I have 14 minutes, right? What time is it? Or is it even... Hold on. Is it possible I have more time than I think? Let me see something. By 43 minutes. Oh, I got plenty of time. All right, 12:15. All right, no sweat. No sweat. Okay. So this is probably again what I would do if I was going to use the contest sims, and I would just go up here. So do I want to do this? I honestly don't know. I'd like to think that using the contest sims feature is more important than getting the actual field lineups right. In other words, if you're wrong about the field lineups, does that cost you more than you're giving up by not tailoring your contest specifically to the contest you're in? I honestly don't know the answer. But one thing that you can do to, what are you saying? It's a good idea to check how the first and last lineups stack up. Yeah, I get that. And right, to see exactly how bad it is, like what type of lineups that you're accepting, right? That's really not a bad idea at all. How do you do that? How exactly do you do that? So if these are the ones that are my Min Uniques 4, like the 40, okay, so the 40th lineup, for example, in this list would be ranked, okay, so 1,763, 1,771, 1340, 1307. So you're getting really near the bottom of the barrel. And here, 308. See, 343 is fine. You want to do this one? We are sorting. We're sorting by risk-adjusted ROI. Right? So 1, 2, 4, 8, 11. Oh, I see this. Like down these are the rankings over here. So all the way here. So 1771, 1763. Right. So maybe it's a good idea to not go down to that low. So let's see what would happen if you went to Min Uniques 3, like for example. Like what's the lowest, what's the worst you're getting? 144. So I guess that's why Jordan's a genius. You go from Min Uniques 3 to Min Uniques 4, you get really into a world of shit as far as your lineups. So this is probably a good idea, right? That's not a bad idea. And there's no probably geo mean issue, if I'm not mistaken. What's 21? Yeah, this is actually pretty good. That's a 140, as far as the rankings go. So this is actually pretty good. So I would actually, before I did the next thing that I was going to do, and this is going to be kind of fun, I want to save these. So I actually like these. But here's where I want to have some fun. All right. So remember where these 5,000 lineups came from, right? The 5,000 lineups that we built, that big pool, was just based on just general high upside lineups, all right? And I like to think that those types of lineups are what the field would do. The only thing I would say, though, is that I think that in general, I'm going to say this for a reason, the majority of MME players play a little less aggressively than that Saber Sim thing. So what I want to do is I'm going to start another build. I'm going to show you why in a minute. Okay. We're going to upload again the projections. Oops. Okay. What am I doing here? Oh, because we're in NBA. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to start a new. Remember, build one was where we started. It's very important. So now we're going to re-upload these projections. And we're going to do a whole new build. And what we're going to do is we're going to change our build settings to, instead of, well, we did 20 max, so I guess that's actually okay. So I think that those 50,000, those 5,000 lineups that we have here in this overall pool, I think it is representative somewhat of the pool. Okay. Like you see the pool over here. I forget our exposure. This is what the pool of lineups look like. I think this all makes sense. The reason why I do that is I want to run a new contest sim. And instead of running our lineups against the Saber Sim lineups and trusting it, what we're going to do is we're going to actually run it against ourselves. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to run this against actually build one. So you see what we're doing here? So now we're going to compare our 5,000 lineups against those exact 5,000 lineups. And see then, so what we're doing is replacing really the Saber Sim ownership default with our projections and assumptions of what the field is going to do. And I'm going to run this and see how that looks. And I think this is going to be, it could be pretty interesting. All right, so now let's take a look. All right, so now we're doing this. Now we're sorting this by, I think, by risk-adjusted ROI. And you see how this is different now? Let me just make sure I'm not screwing something up. That was the original one. And this is the one that we just did. So see how this is a little bit different? This one puts Finau up at the top. You know, it fades Schauffele a little bit more. because we're presuming that if the pool of lineups is going to put 47% of Xander, yeah. So this is, again, it depends on where your confidence lies. You know what I mean? You have three really good options. Number one is you can say screw the contest sims, right? You could build good upside lineups the way we did originally. We also could trust the Saber sim ownerships. That's fine too. Or we could trust our own assessment of what the field is going to do and do it this way. And now we're doing the exact same thing. We're starting here, and then we're going to go min uniques 2. And again, let's start by the max, right? And then we'll see, like as Galt was saying, when do we have to worry? So if we went min uniques 4, for example, now we get back to more shot play, by the way. Then again, we are getting to, actually this isn't bad, 257, 222, 205, whatever. So so we're still getting the same types of guys, but it's the process that makes me feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like Neil, you're saying it's going to print money. Again, the way my world works is that you just you judge your results like once before everything goes in, and you have to just have faith in like kind of what your process is. So I have to like just kind of rewind what we did here, right? So we first of all we accessed a good bunch of projections, right? And I have a couple of more sources nowadays. Like there's some new sites, and I back tested some of them, and it's kind of annoying because sometimes I want to just give them full credit for being good before checking, but sometimes it takes a couple of weeks before I actually do whatever. So then those are going up. The ownership projections. Here's the thing. Also, ownership projections on. I think I just came up with the answer. By the way, ownership projections on the in Showdown, very very rare. I mean, you don't get them across like all the sites. Like like all the sites mostly have like projections, medium projections. Not all of them have at least good ones for Showdown golf. So that means that the projections themselves are probably fragile. So if you're going to just use the Saber Sim ownership projections as your guide, I would rather rely on the point projection being better than the ownership projection for Golf Showdown, which means that you'd rather, and we're getting to the answer, we'd rather than for PGA Showdown, when it comes to assigning a field for contest sims, to do build one instead of Saber Sim ownership. I think we've come up with a conclusion. I don't know if it's right, but at least it's something. So that's what I'm going to go with. The only thing I want to think about again is whether I have too many uniques. But I think the 257th is fair enough. Making sure we're ranking them right. So I think all that is good. Oh, and by the way, Sam, is that you don't need to do anything if you use mine. Like if you update your own customized projections, you don't have to make any changes. If you go with their defaults, then you do. But if you update your own, then you don't have to do anything. I'm just saying. All right, so let's save these. And again, I know that this is not what people want to hear sometimes, but one thing we haven't talked about at all is who we're playing. I know I'm going to sound like one of those freaking nerds, you know what I mean? Like you don't know anything about golf, whatever it is. I get it. I totally get it. But when it comes to this, this is the way I think about it. Okay, so I only have about 9 minutes to figure out how I'm, about getting ready for the NBA, which is, boy, oh boy, I barely bailed out of the NBA last night with a remarkable win in a satellite to an 888. That was my big win yesterday, is getting a satellite win home in the NBA. NHL was really good. Your main adjustments, Sam, are salary and min uniques. I would be very cautious about salary stuff. I'm just saying in general. It's very difficult. When I say that, I mean, you're just not, I just don't know. Like, I think about Showdown, and I know the idea is to get unique, right? And still make good lineups. And one of the ways to get unique is apparently by reducing, by artificially minimizing salary. But the thing is that if you don't have to worry about getting unique anyway, it's pretty funny. That's actually the quote of the day. But if you don't need to get unique anyway, if you can get unique by just doing other stuff without having to save salary, it's probably a good idea. Because the thing is that when you are saying, I want to leave money on the table, you're just really guessing about how much you're leaving on the table. I mean, maybe not, and maybe some people know like the optimal amount, but I just don't think it works that way. So I personally, again, what do I know about Golf Showdown? But I would not exactly worry about leaving money on the table there. Like this lineup, like am I gonna is leaving 0 on the table gonna punish me? That many people have A Bjork. You know what I mean? Like I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, I am not, Neil, and I know that he does that stuff for MMA, and I gotta talk to him about it. But well, you know what we can do? Got 8 minutes. Let's see what happens. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this. Then we're gonna see what some of these ROIs are, right? So we got to remember what these things were, right? So, well, you know what you can do? Well, check this out. Let's go to Min Uniques 1. We built 5,000 lineups, right? Okay. We built 5,000 lineups. How many of them you think are under 48,000? Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I know that. How many of them are under 48,000? I wouldn't think any, right? I can tell you right now it's going to be none. But I mean, to give you an example, let's just see. There's going to be 0, right? I'm just projecting. No, yeah. Wait, no, you're getting some. Okay. So you're getting, I can get 40 lineups, leaving 2,000 on the table. Let's see where they rank. Well, overall, I guess 47,000. How are we gonna rank these? We're gonna rank them by ROI, I guess. So we're ranking only these. Oh, this is annoying. But look at some of these projected scores even. 233, 231. Like, this is not bad. But see, the thing is that if I didn't get to them organically, then maybe you're right. Maybe we should, maybe I'm making a mistake. Maybe we should leave more money on the table. But again, if you believe the contest sims, I mean, if that factors all that in, like the uniqueness and stuff like that. But like you are also what you're saying though about golf is that salary restraint does it force in statistical outliers? I mean, it forces in like lineup outliers, right? I mean, like you get where you get 2 7600s that smash, They might have smashed anyway, but now you're going to get both of them in the same lineup. All right, so it looks good. Listen, you know what's interesting is that when you go through this, look at what happens to Tony Finau. Just look at Finau. He's at the top, right? With Min Uniques 1. Go to Min Uniques 2. He goes down to 32%. He's still kind of tied for highest owned. When you go to Min Uniques 3, let's see. Now Finau goes to 32%. And then when you go to Min Uniques 4, he kind of drops off the face of the earth. Sort of interesting, I guess. So let's go back. We'll put in the again, we'll go back and make sure that we have the Geom mean of less than 21. And then you get this. We'll put all these in. Download. Upload. And done. All right, I will see you guys in a few for the